those things that needs to remember in finding the nature of the roots, we'll hide it in an acronym na tatawagin nating IBATO. So there's two meaning of it. IBATO, it's like you throw it, or IBATO, you have to, it's like being different. So we'll explain the two. So unahin natin yung IBATO, throw it. So if you do have feelings na hatred, or kung meron ka mang kinasasamaan ng loob, so yung feeling mo na nararamdaman na hindi maganda, you just throw it all away. Kasi mas maganda na malinis yung kalooban mo nang wala kang inaalalang iba na makakasira sa'yo bilang tao. So, lahat ng mga iniisip nating negative, lahat ng mga nararanasan nating problema, so hindi dapat natin siya tatalikuran. Haharapin natin siya, then para later on, we have to throw it all away. So that wala kang iniisip-isip. Your mind is free to do the things that you want to do. So, pag wala kang masyadong iniisip, so mas makakapag-isip ka ng mas mabuti kasi yung mga problema dinaranasan mo o yung mga hindi magandang nararanasan mo sa buhay mo, you just going to throw it all away. So, yun yung isang message na sinatawag natin IBATO. And the other one is IBATO, being different. So, all of us are created differently. So, may mga iba sa atin na may mga kakayanan na hindi kayang gawin ng ibang tao. So, maaring hindi mo pa na-discover sa sarili mo yung kakayanan mong yun, but maybe in the future, so malaman mo ano ba yung meron ka na hindi kayang gawin ng iba. Ano ba yung kaya mong gawin na hindi nila kaya. Kasi oo, may mga pagkakatulad. One person can sing, you can also sing. One person can dance, you can also dance. But there is there is this one unique thing in you na ikaw lang yung makakagawa. All you have to do is to discover it. So kasi sinabi nga, all of us are created differently. So we are all unique individual. So iba-iba ang klase ng tao. So that's why we have to realize it. So whenever you encounter a person, so iisipin mo kaagad, that person is not like you. So in that way, you are also respecting that person. So kasi, ang sabi nga natin, since iba-iba ang tao, so dapat respeto natin kung ano man yung meron sa isang tao na yon. So maaring yung tao na yon, may nagagawa siya na hindi mo kayang gawin. So also that person, meron siyang hindi kayang gawin na nagagawa mo. So all you have to do is just respect the person because we know that all of us are created differently. So that's why we have to also remember, we have to know that all of us are different or we are all unique individual. So ayun yung message nung things that we needs to remember in finding the nature of the root. So ano nga ba iba to na sinasabi natin? Let's start with the first one, I. I stands for if b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0 and a perfect square, then the two roots are real, rational, and unequal. So sinabi dito, if your b squared minus 4ac, so we made use of this discriminant, that's b squared minus 4ac, and you come up with an answer which is greater than 0. So you mean to say it's positive. So if you got positive, then that positive number is a perfect square. Then the two roots, we know that there are two roots of a given quadratic equation, and that two roots, if that is the case that we got, if we made use of discriminant, the two roots are real, rational, and unequal. So what does it mean? So it means that the solutions that we are going to get when we solve the given quadratic equations are exact values. So it can be whole numbers, it can be fractions. Basta it's exact value. So that's what we mean by it. Then second, B. B stands for, but if B squared minus 4AC is greater than 0, and this time it's not a perfect square, then the two roots are real, irrational, and unequal. Again, if your B squared or your discriminant is greater than 0, still, that's positive. Pinagkaiba natin ganyan, di ba? Both are positive. But one is perfect square, but and the other one is a non-perfect square. So if that's positive and not a perfect square, then the two roots are real, irrational, and unequal. So ano ibig sabihin if it's real, irrational, and unequal? So the solutions when you solve a given quadratic equation are uh, two unequal roots which are irrational. Pag sinabi natin irrational, not exact. So ibig sabihin, the solutions still includes radical sign. For example, positive, negative square root of 5. So those are solutions. So that means we come up with that kind of solution. That is when your discriminant is a positive number and not a perfect square. Then third, sabi dito, and if b squared minus 4ac, or again, the discriminant is equal to 0, then there is exactly one real root or one real solution. So, bakit one real root? So, if you're given quadratic equation, uh, and if you're given quadratic equations discriminant is equal to 0, then the solutions to that given quadratic equations are the same. So that's why we call the nature of that solutions or roots as one real roots or one real root. Because again, the solutions to a given quadratic equation are the same or they are equal. So, mangyayari yon if you find out the discriminant which is equal to 0. Then lastly, 2 stands for, to end this, if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, then there is no real roots. So again, if your discriminant, you made use of this expression and you come up with a discriminant which is less than 0, or in other words, it's a negative number, then there is no real roots. So meaning to say, the solutions are non-real numbers. So dito na ilalabas yung tinatawag natin imaginary numbers. So since now we are not dealing with non-real numbers, so if you ever encounter an expression or an equation wherein you are asked to solve for it, so just write there no real roots because we are only dealing with real solutions or real numbers. So again, if your discriminant is a negative number, then its nature is no real roots. So again, in order for us to find out the nature of the roots of a given quadratic equation, all we have to do is to remember the what we call ibato. So in order for you, that will help you in finding for the nature of the roots of a quadratic equation.